Good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. On behalf of the Women Engineers Forum, let me welcome you all for the webinar on psychology in productivity. I think, as you all know, the WEF has organized a number of webinars during this session, because that is 2021-2022, and this will be the last webinar during the session. This session, actually, we have the AGM on next coming Friday, and after that, new expo will take over the Women Engineers Forum, and this is the last webinar. And also, I take this opportunity to invite you all to join for the webinar also. Then the engineer Dulip Tadaka Dayabandara, our resource person today. I welcome you and really appreciate for accepting our invitation to conduct this webinar. And we were waiting to listen to you. I think I can see a good audience today. Then we will have a good time today. Thank you, Mr. Engineer Dulip, for accepting our invitation. And all the participants, actually, you are always the strength to WEF. I can see some faces you all are joining every webinar. Then thank you very much for joining today, and I hope you all will have a very good session today. And this, we will have this lecture first. I think it will be a lecture, if I am correct, the resource person. After the presentation, we will have a question and answer session. And during the session, you can type your messages or questions or any comments on the chat box, and we will direct it to the resource person. Then, without taking much time, I'll hand over the session to Engineer Nadika to introduce the resource person. Over to you, Nadika. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. Very good evening to you all. Engineer Taraka is a certified Six Sigma Master Black Belt from Caterpillar, USA. And he has a BSc Engineering degree from University of Moratuwa and Masters in Business and Organizational Psychology from Coventry University. He also is an associate member of Chartered Institute of Management Accounts, CIMA, and he is also a certified executive coach from International Coaching Federation. He has trained and coached more than 200 Lean Six Sigma professionals, and he loves letting people release down potentials through coaching. At present, he serves as the General Manager, Corporate Continuous Improvement at United Tractors and Equipment, the Caterpillar dealer. And he has experience in automotive, telecommunication, apparel, finance, and banking industries across various functions. He was a member of CPD Committee of Institute of Engineers Sri Lanka and has served in Professional Affairs Committee, Mechanical Engineers Sectional Committee of ISL as well. He was a member of CIMA Country Network Panel and has been in various advisory committees of CIMA, such as Branding Committee, Employee Relations Committee.
I think she has experienced the power cut. I think until she joins, do we have to wait, or the Engineer Tarak are going to start the session?
Sure, Devika. Thank you, Nadika, for that nice introduction. I think we are in a good position to start. Can you all hear me properly? Devika, can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you. No problem.
Great. So let me share my screen to you all. Engineer Devika, I suppose you can see my screen as well, my slides.
Yeah, yes.
Great. So it is, lovely to be here as an engineer to share what I can with the engineering professionals here. Thank you for inviting me to be here. So I'm humbly happy to be here and talking to you. It's not only that I share my knowledge, I'm also looking forward to learn from you all from whatever the things that we can discuss today. Yes, we are going to talk about psychology in productivity. Thank you for inviting me for today. I'm really glad that I am sharing what I can to the set of engineers. And I'm also looking forward to learn from you all, whatever you have to say today. I mean, it's always a mutual learning whenever I conduct this kind of sessions. So today we are going to talk about psychology in productivity. Of course, two of my favorite subject areas. Yes, both of these subject areas I'm professionally qualified to talk about as well, as a Six Sigma Master Black Belt, as well as a psychology professional. So we are going to today talk about mainly what really productivity is as a combination of effectiveness as well as efficiency. How does it relate to our lives? And how are we taken aside by the trends and things going on around us? And also, how does the critical thinking affects us? I mean, critical thinking, some of you would have studied in your masters if you have done masters, and how going beyond the academic thinking, what it really means, critical thinking to our lives, setting up our purpose in our lives, how in taking us towards a more happy lifestyle. And also, what kind of assumptions and beliefs do we encounter, and how can we tackle those assumptions using the critical thinking? And some I'm also going to share some of the best practices towards the end of the session as well. So without further ado, I think we'll get on with the session. So to start with, to find out how productive are you at the moment, when we want to get more done, and usually we think of getting into do lots of things, getting busy with things and all that, filling up our day entirely to be more productive. But what happens is actually the sustainability of this approach is really is in question, because when we get really busy with things and really get occupied and we get stressed out, for the long-term success really make an impact on our health as well as our psychology as well. So when I say health, both physiological health as well as psychological health. So it becomes kind of like way of life. Sometimes it have a long-term impact in our lives. Sometimes the heart conditions and so many other the health conditions we can have due to this kind of lifestyles, because it becomes our way of life. Yes, it is a measure of how much we accomplish, not really how much busy we are. So yes, to become how productive are we should know what does it mean by productivity. So so there are various definitions you would have seen. Maybe there are manufacturing engineers here, service sector engineers here as well. You also monitor certain KPIs relevant to productivity, but mainly if I take it in a very generic view, productivity is the efficiency of production of goods or services expressed by some measure. So in this one, mainly the measurement of productivity are often expressed as a ratio of aggregate output. So comparing the output of good products or services versus one of the inputs that we give. Could it be time? Could it be number of certain type of input that we give? So this kind of ratio that we use in measuring productivity as per se. As engineers, I think this is very familiar if you are especially in the production sector. In here, mainly, I would highlight there are two keywords: the efficiency and the goods or services. When I say efficiency, the efficiency, how do we measure the efficiency? How fast we are in doing what we do. Most of the time we get caught by being efficient, being fast. Sometimes the direction we are going or what we call as effectiveness is not much given high priority. Could it be at work or could it be in our personal lives? So we'll try to dig deep into that during our session today, of course. And the goods and services, goods or services, could it be services that we give at our workplace, or the services that we give here, or services that we give to our family, any services or goods. So doesn't have to be, I mean, restricting to professional or personal arena. Could it be both sides? So let me ask a quick question. What is the more important part in here? Is it knowing what goods and services to deliver, or the speed that we deliver them? What do you think? Maybe some of you can answer, unmute and answer. We'll make it an interactive session. I think rather we'll try to make it a discussion. Now, in this place, I think most of you are now involved in organizing this event. So that is also a service. How productive are we doing in this service? So the effectiveness and efficiency. Efficiency could be a measure of, you know, how many these kind of sessions do you do at the Women Engineers Forum. That is efficiency. But effectiveness is, are we doing relevant session to our audience? Could be the effectiveness question. So in our life, mostly we get caught with the number because it's easier to measure and all. But when it comes to effectiveness, we usually miss out on thinking on that part of it. That is mostly to do with the purpose of our being, purpose of why we get together as a team to do these initiatives. And then when we go to see psychology, in very generic terms, is a scientific study of mind and behavior. Psychology includes the study of conscious and unconscious phenomena, including feelings and thoughts. So it is an academic discipline of immense scope. It is actually a wider scope than even engineering. It's if any of you have just had curiosity to look upon things what has happened in psychology, it's immense, crossing the boundaries between the natural and social sciences as well. So if you I think if you are interested about economics, now the when it comes to economics, we talk about behavioral economics. So behavioral economics are also somewhat linked with psychology in predicting about the future. So psychology is everywhere as we go today. Even some of you may be relevant to sales and marketing side of things. In that sector also, in purchasing decision-making process, how the consumer behavior takes place, how a consumer makes a decision, and how can we make influences in these places to make decisions in our favor. So the psychology is involved everywhere. So I think some of the examples will also give you some insights on how it relates to our day-to-day life. Somehow in this definition also, there are few keywords. Mind and behavior. It talks about mind and behavior, the intangible as well as the tangibles. Conscious and unconscious. I think, would you be surprised if I say most of the things that we do are unconscious? Actually, most of the research and studies have shown more than 90% of things that we do are unconscious. Can you believe that? Only 10% things are things that we do are conscious. So this is, if this goes further, it becomes a topic of sometimes about the religion, about the free will of people, whether we do have a free will, is a question people ask today. And even if you happen to read about new theories like the simulation theory, highly spoken about, because now the modern science is also starting from physics, now going towards the psychology side of things when it comes to new discoveries. So this is a really interesting thing, because if you really observe yourself, you might also notice whether this is true or not. I think the Sophia, the artificial intelligence robot recently developed, who got the citizenship of one of the countries also as a robot. So she has also mentioned humans are also similar to robots because of their autonomous nature of operating. So we'll see how that is true, to what extent is that true as well. So these are all research findings. So how, in getting back to how productive are you or am I? Now we'll see this. When we want to get more things done, yes, of course, many of us simply work long hours, move deadlines around and multitask, do various things. So all of these things we do in the name of productivity, of course. Although these strategies can provide some like short-term relief, they aren't sustainable in the long run. Pretty soon, the approach becomes a kind of way of life, as I said earlier slide, and leading to high level of stress and eventually poor productivity because of poor health, and we don't really want in our life. So productivity is a measure of how much we accomplish, of course. I will get to a small story also. Some of you would have heard about the story about the golden goose. Uh, so let me try and share that. I have taken a video to show you about this balance between the effectiveness and efficiency, or rather productivity and production capacity within us. So let me try to share that video with you. If there's any issue, if you don't get the sound or something like that, you can tell me. We'll have a look at the video.
We can't hear the sound, but I don't know about others. I can't hear.
Let me try to share it again. Maybe there is something wrong. I have to maybe share it, including the sound. Some technical problem has happened. My PowerPoint has got stuck. So in this video, I'll have to switch down my PowerPoint and start back again the PowerPoint, but that's all right. So in this video, it talks about how we can maintain the P and PC balance, productivity as well as production capacity balance. I'll have to use the task manager and shut down my PowerPoint and start it again. I presume this video was helpful. Even at the point where the child is, we motivate our children to do certain things. So I will touch upon that area as well, about using intrinsic and extrinsic motivations, because these are some of the things that we sometimes do not really focus in our life, not only in ourselves but in the next generation as well. Uh, about how much we accomplish. There is a small test that we can do to find out how productive are we in doing whatever the things that we do. So it's far better to learn how to work intelligently and to use leverage to achieve more with your time and the resources. This will increase your productivity and help you find extra time to do other things as well. So remember this ladder. So I will talk about this ladder as well in the coming discussions in today's session. So there is a small quiz for you to figure out how productive are you in your way of doing things. So you can scan this QR code for that questionnaire, or I can share it in your chat as well. So I think some of you are logging in using your mobile devices. So I think it will be helpful if I share this link in the chat as well. I hope you have got the link. So we'll spend a little time doing this as well. Maybe we'll take another 5 minutes in doing this. I got these things done because it's important we do all these together, and then it's also a good time for you to understand where you are yourself. So you don't have to really share your scores with anyone. So you know where you are, and you will not be sharing this score with anyone. It is just for you. Maybe later on also you can make use of it. You can share with your friends. So if you keep this link with you. There are a few questions. There are 16 questions that you could answer in the Likert scale of 1 to 5 on where you are in those areas. So based on that, it will give you a score to find where you are at the moment in the productivity arena. As well as further to the score, it will explain further down below what a group of questions represent. Some of these questions represent about the organization, about you, and about the general attitude that you are having, and how good are you in the side of delegation, and the integrating the relevant information, and then the productive systems. So these areas you can have an idea of where you are in productivity at the moment. So just to keep you also involved and participating for today's sessions, I wanted to use this. Maybe we'll use another 2-3 minutes, so you can be done with it and save your results. Maybe you can save this page as a PDF, or maybe keep it for later on use thereafter. Okay, do you want more time, further time? Hope most of you are done by now. Okay, more time needed. Okay, Kamala, you will get some time. Mikita is done. Miskita is done. Can you all hear me properly? Some people seems can't hear me at the moment.
We can hear you now.
Right, great. Okay, some of you have completed now. Tilanka, Devika has completed. So I suppose this time is enough. Maybe later on also you can complete and see where you are in the side of productivity of things. You don't have to really share with anyone. This is for you and for you to make for your own benefit. So now this is the typical definition of productivity at times. Let's see how the psychology side of things really affect our productivity. How do we, you and me, decide what we want to achieve? So effectiveness is the keenness, is the direction where we should go in achieving things faster. The direction, deciding the direction. So how do we decide what to achieve? Many people And scholars, the scientists have tried to explain these using psychology. So that is where the psychology really kicks in and helps us to understand what really goes on there. One of the most popular explanations, most of you might have heard about, the Maslow hierarchy of needs, of course. So in Maslow hierarchy of needs, of course, there is these 5 levels of achievements that the Maslow is trying to explain. So, of course, there are critics for Maslow hierarchy of needs as well. So the conventional description of Abraham Maslow, which is shown in the screen, was discussed from the period of 1943 to kind of 1953. This hierarchy of needs is considered inaccurate. Did you know that? Have you ever heard about it? This is considered inaccurate. By himself, Abraham Maslow, he contradicted this in 1969. But most of us, even today, when we search in Google, when we go to classes and learn about this, this is what we learn today. Because in 1969, Abraham Maslow himself, he added another stage to the Maslow hierarchy of needs as the self-transcendence. So transcendence in which the self giving a paramount, and this includes the quest to know how the spiritual part of in our life and the dimension of life on earth and beyond the time and space, what it is. So the including the self transcendence, this is how it looks. So this transcendence has 3 sides in it. The ego transcendence, which looks self beyond ego, myself, but beyond the egoistic approach. The ego, of course, in the Freudian psychology, the ego is very highly spoken about. I'm not going to touch that side of things in today's session. And the second thing is self-transcendence. Beyond the self, the other. How does it affect the others? And then the spiritual transcendence. So those are the 3 things. In spiritual transcendence, it's actually beyond the space and time. So you really see how the space and time comes into the picture in some of the religions also. This side of things, the spirituality goes into the scientific side. How does it contradict the space and time? How are we being here at this moment of time? I will share some of the videos in coming slides. There are some of the tribes actually in happiness has gone beyond what our society sees, and how these tribes see the religions, see the science, and look at the languages. Being away from the usual society as you and I see today, how these tribes have gone to that levels of happiness. So we'll see those areas as well in the coming slides. Apart from Maslow, I will also show there are how the conditioning. I'm not talking about when it comes to conditioning. Most of you ladies think conditioning is about the hair conditioners we use on hair. Not really. Yes, but conditioning has to do with the effect it gives. The conditioning, there are some rules in psychology. The researchers has introduced as theories. So we'll see how these conditioning relates to how we decide what we want to achieve. The first theory is about the classical conditioning. This is introduced by a Russian scientist, Dr. Pavlov. So we'll see what it is.
When we think about learning, we often picture students in a classroom or lecture hall, books open on their desk, listening intently to a teacher or professor in the front of the room. But in psychology, learning means something else. To psychologists, learning is a long-term change in behavior that's based on experience. 2 of the main types of learning are called classical conditioning and operant or instrumental conditioning. Let's talk about classical conditioning first. In the 1890s, a Russian physiologist named Ivan Pavlov did some really famous experiments on dogs. He showed dogs some food and rang a bell at the same time. After a while, the dogs would associate the bell with the food. They would learn that when they heard the bell, they would get fed. Eventually, just ringing the bell made the dogs salivate. They learned to expect food at the sound of a bell. You see, under normal conditions, the sight and smell of food causes a dog to salivate. We call the food an unconditioned stimulus, and we call salivation an unconditioned response. Nobody trains a dog to salivate over some steak. However, when we pair an unconditioned stimulus like food with something that was previously neutral, like the sound of a bell, that neutral stimulus becomes a conditioned stimulus. And so classical conditioning was discovered. We see how this works with animals, but how does it work with humans? In exactly the same way. Let's say that one day you go to the doctor to get a shot. She says, "Don't worry, this won't hurt a bit," and then gives you the most painful shot you've ever had. A few weeks later, you go to the dentist for a checkup. He starts to put a mirror in your mouth to examine your teeth, and he says, "Don't worry, this won't hurt a bit." Even though you know the mirror won't hurt, you jump out of the chair and run screaming from the room. When you went to get a shot, the words, "this won't hurt a bit," became a conditioned stimulus when they were paired with the pain of the shot, the unconditioned stimulus, which was followed by your conditioned response of getting the heck out of there. Classical conditioning in action.
I suppose you got some idea about how the classical conditioning works. So there were further experiments. Actually, one experiment was done with a cat. So this cat was given a certain treatment to its brain and removed the feeling of hunger, because the hunger is naturally it's a feeling. The starvation, of course, is the need to eat something. When my body needs food, the starvation is what it has, but the hunger is the feeling. So from this cat, the hunger feeling was removed. Actually, this cat at the end died of starvation because it didn't eat, because it didn't feel the hunger. And on the other side also, this experiment was done. The cat was given the hungry feeling, and it was given food, and it didn't stop eating. It was eating and eating, never ending. So then they stopped that experiment from there. So what it really says is, actually some of the nations, some of the people, especially some of the multinational fast food chains, have cracked the code in giving the hunger feeling to people. That's why people, especially you can see most of obese people or fat people in some of the countries eating mostly fast food, because they feel hunger without the need to eat something, and they keep on eating because they feel hungry. Because of the chemicals used by these restaurants, or maybe by using the smell, or maybe by conditioning with the what they see, this unconscious conditioning, without we knowing it, like that a dog started salivating for the bell, we also started becoming or feeling hungry whenever we see something or whenever we smell something in that nature. Yes, of course, the ethicality of doing such things is highly spoken about, but it's really difficult to trace where it happens and how it happens. Not everybody publish their research findings or scientific findings. Of course, these experiments can take place and used in influencing people's decision making, especially in purchasing things. So that is one side of things. So this video was talking about another side of conditioning called operant conditioning. So we'll see what this operant conditioning means.
Operant conditioning is based on the idea that we can increase or decrease a certain behavior by adding a consequence. For example, If a dog poops on a carpet, we can either provide reinforcement so the dog does it again, or punishment so the dog stops. Both reinforcement and punishment can either be positive or negative, which means we have 4 possible ways to teach this dog a lesson. We can draw the 4 options in a table. If reinforcement is positive, we add something pleasant, like a cookie, to increase the likelihood of a behavior. If reinforcement is negative, we still want to increase the desired behavior, this time by removing something unpleasant, like the leash. If punishment is positive, we add an unpleasant response to decrease behavior. When punishment is negative, we also want to decrease behavior, now by removing something pleasant, like the comfy carpet. If we stop any sort of manipulation, the conditioned behavior will eventually disappear again. This is called extinction. Operant conditioning was first studied by Edward L. Thorndike and later made famous by the work of B.F. Skinner. Skinner believed that organisms are doing what they do naturally until they accidentally encounter a stimulus that creates conditioning, which results in a change in behavior. To test this, he placed a rat inside an operant conditioning chamber, which later became known as the Skinner box. Among other things, inside the box was a lever that would release food when pressed. Conditioning happens in a 3-term contingency, today known as the ABCs of behavior. A stands for antecedent. The rat accidentally hits the lever that triggers the release of food. B stands for behavior and refers to the response. The rat keeps pressing the lever. C stands for consequence. Food keeps coming out. The strength of the response to the conditioning depends on the schedule of reinforcement. If there is always food after pressing, the rat behaves predictably. If the food is released randomly, the rat behaves erratically like an addict. Skinner, born in 1904, was a professor of psychology and subscribed to behaviorism. He argued that you can only study behavior that is visible, and anything happening only within the mind is either a misconception or irrelevant to science. He thought free will was an illusion because behavior is either random or a reaction to the environment. His work became the foundation for behavioral therapy, military drills, and animal training. You can try this classroom exercise on positive reinforcement. One individual must exit the room. Now decide on a task which that individual will complete, such as finding a particular book. Then choose a non-verbal way of reinforcing that task, such as clapping your hands. Invite the person to come back into the room and let them try and complete the task, but don't give any instructions. Every time they are on the right track in regards to completing the task, clap your hands louder. If they move away from performing the task, reduce your applause or stop it entirely. Once the person understands what they are supposed to do, let them explain the task. Did they get it right?
This Professor Skinner, he is somebody who believes the free will is an illusion, that we can make decisions and move forward in our life. So he thought his belief was this free will is an illusion. Like today, even the modern science has found out only 10% of things are conscious things and 90% of things happen autonomously. So unconscious selection of, for example, if we take now, if you are given Coca-Cola bottle and Pepsi bottle to select one of them, which one would you select? You would select, most of you, I can say, the Coke. But if I ask you, why did you select Coke? Or maybe why did you select Pepsi? You would not have a proper answer for that. You would, I mean, if you really genuinely think, is my answer genuine for selecting Coke, you would have to think it twice. Mostly, you select it for the reasons you are not sure. If you really see, now these unethical, many people call it as unethical marketing as well. I don't know anybody from Coke is here. whether they are aware of these things, but these things are highly spoken in psychology arena of things, the ethicality of this kind of marketing gimmicks, because you see there are lots of people who be nominated as brand ambassadors for some of the brands, but you can't really see these people representing these brands in advertisements or whatever the things. You can't really see these brand ambassadors are representing these products. The thing they do is really tricky, really. So what these people do is creating these unconscious associations. For instance, now see, in a song, say Bhati and Santosh, or say if they are Coke ambassadors, in their song, when the song video is developed, in the song, usually there are high points and low points. There are very peak high points sometimes gives the maximum happiness, maximum positive feeling. So when those points come, somewhere in the background, there is Coke, maybe a Coke bottle, or maybe the brand, something is being displayed in the background. So in our mind, when we see it with that happy feeling, we associate that happy feeling with what we see in the background, the Coke. So unconsciously, we get programmed or we get conditioned to think, associate Coke with happiness. So whenever we are produced Coke and Pepsi, we are inclined towards choosing Coke for that reason. But are we aware of that? No. We don't know why we selected that. So similarly, there are so many things, because these associations happens around our hormones and the chemical reactions going around in our body. Usually the happy hormones like dopamine and serotonin is used in this conditioning work. If it is a food intake, of course the foods can also include these things, so we get addicted to certain things as we eat. So we actually get programmed to make decisions. So this is what the autonomous nature of things. Even in our careers, in our life, what we want to achieve, in deciding all that, all of these factors play its own role. Even another thing I will tell you, some of you might not agree with me. I do understand why you might not agree with me, but these are things where scientifically has proven and identified by researchers by doing experiments. We all as parents, as mainly as women engineers, as some of you may be mothers, and as children also, we highly appreciate the mother's love. Not only in humans, all other animals really are affection to the mother's love, that affection. If I say that is a program by the nature itself, which is determined by the hormones, and this really conditioning works because the nature wants the species to survive in the future. So in taking care of the cubs or the babies or the little ones, there has to be some affiliation to take care of the next generation. For that affiliation to take place, this feeling has been inbuilt to all the species, that to be linked or associated by affection, by love. So all these feelings are created for that reason by nature, of course, by using the hormones. It is actually what is innate or natural is that for the continuation of species, of course. So apart from the dopamine and serotonin, the hormones like oxytocin are used for this within our body. How to generate oxytocin in certain things that generates the affection, the compassion towards whatever the thing that we associate during that time. So in this situation, we are taken by trend or selecting what we should achieve without we knowing, we are programmed to achieve something. So not only in productivity, but also create this can sometimes doing this kind of things in our life can create stress as well at times. But of course we know, being a parent, especially being a mother, how stressful it is. Also we know, we have experienced, as a father I have experienced, I have seen how a mother experienced that as well. So when we are selecting our careers, when we are deciding the next step in our life, also this could be also affected by these kind of conditioning factors.
Operant conditioning?
So let's see, whenever this kind of relationships works at work, whenever we select work, it is important to figure out how the work conditions, I mean work environment or the job scopes, really is linked to our likes and dislikes. In talking about our likes and dislikes, there is a personalities being defined in psychology to identify who you are, not to frame somebody else, but to identify who you are. So one of the very popular the psychology concepts are the big five personalities. So let me share with you these big five personalities, and we'll see how does it relate to us as well. Our personalities are also said nothing but learned behaviors. As we said in conditioning, these personalities are also learned behaviors from our environment itself. So if you are raising children, especially, it is really not only about their physical or academic growth, but their personalities grow as they observe the things going around as well. So we'll see about personalities. Now, one person has combination of these personalities. Now, not only an open person would be have certain percentage of neurocracy as well. Being neurotic is actually being passionate towards something, towards a family or towards a nation or country. Being passionate is also a good property, as we say, but that is also a nature of being neurotic. So because I think sometimes the word neurotic has that negative association for us. So some areas are higher because for that reason, and some areas are lower in our profiles. So somehow, for us to cope up with the practical environments, all these personalities helps. Combination of all these personalities helps, and none of these personalities are wrong. But they are of course helpful. Whether your personality matches your job or your organization, your job environment, is something in psychology being checked. Especially some of you would have noticed the psychometric tests at the interview stages that organizations does. That is to check how are you fitting to the organizational context using the PO fit or PE fit, as it says, person organization fit or person environment fit, or PJ fit, called the person job fit. So these fitments are checked using the psychometric tests today, because these matching to these things will ensure that your personality and the personality required by the job or the environment has the match. If there is no match, there can be interrelated motion and friction and the stress. So actually, the psychological stress that you notice, that you observe, that you experience in an environment is because of this mismatch. So this stress can also go into a level of burnout as well. So yes, the PJ fit, the PO fit, or we also call it as PE fit, person environment fit. So if you search these keywords in the internet or maybe in research databases, you can find interesting research articles. There are so much research being articles and research papers being published in these areas. So Benjamin Schneider is the person who introduced these areas to the arena of psychology. One of the very commonly used psychometric test systems are Myers and Briggs. Some of you would have heard about these areas. So it checks these 16 areas in personalities and suggests which areas are the best. So this association really, I mean, with the job environment and your personality, this match really helps you to be have good well-being. In psychology, the term well-being is used for good health and good physiological and psychological health. And happiness is represented by the well-being. So when we talk about work well-being, these terms are quite related along with it. Because for instance, if I say an extrovert person who likes going out, meeting new people and doing celebrations, and this extrovert person, he wouldn't really enjoy a in-house job like document preparation, staying in the office and signing documents and not going out. He might not enjoy really that kind of job. Similarly, an introvert might not really enjoy going out and meeting new people and going to new environments. He might not enjoy that as well. So that is one of the very clear examples of this match, the person job fit match, how it happens. And this is very simple situation. Similarly, based on the personality trait, there all could be easiness or difficulty in performing the relevant activities relevant in the job. And when there is mismatch between the personality expected by the job environment with the person, there's friction and creates the stress and all the driving to burnout and the pressure. Different health conditions also can rise due to these reasons. To prevent this from happening, yes, the psychometric tests are taken because the work well-being is quite important area. The work well-being mainly has 6 elements around it. The physical well-being, where when employees physically feel better, they are more likely to perform better at work. We all know that. Similarly, the career, the financial, social, community, emotional, so those areas are relevant for the work well-being. Well-being is the value, or the quality of life. As I said, it refers to what intrinsically valuable, what internally valuable to us. Sometimes we are also not aware unconsciously what is really valuable for us. So that is also something, certain roles like the counselors, coaches would help you to identify who really are by reflecting what you really are. Ultimately, the well-being of a person is what ultimately good for that particular person and the self-interest of that particular person. But identifying yourself or identifying me for myself is also a hell of a task, considering both physiological and psychological environment. So this particular research that I found is actually indicating how well-being as a measurement, how well-being being affected by 2 incidents. If we look at how it impacts our life or how life events affect the well-being. So this one shows how due to the death of the spouse and the sustained unemployment has impacted the well-being of the person. It seems to be clear with this research, the sustained unemployment represented with the dotted line has long-lasting impact on well-being. Which has not recovered in the long term as well. However, it is not the case with the death of the spouse, because our mind also has coping mechanisms, different coping mechanisms, which each will, in absence of something or some person, it has different coping mechanisms to stabilize your psychological happiness, your psychological stability. So for that reason, sometimes we get stable, but a sustained unemployment can be really daunting because of the financial burdens that it could give you. This is one of the reasons nowadays modern organizations also take psychometric tests very seriously. So ultimately, productivity is what do we want to achieve, the purpose question, and how we achieve it. It's important to know what we want to achieve before we ask the questions how we achieve it. You remember I was asking you to remember about the ladder, because the ladder, if the ladder is not leaning against the right wall, every step we take just gets us to the wrong place faster. So you climb the ladder, and only then to realize you have leaned the ladder to a wrong wall. You'll have to get all the way down and then lean the ladder towards the right wall. The same way in scouting, you are set to find, you are set in the middle of the jungle to find your way out faster, and you are given a compass and a stopwatch, because how less the time you take adds marks for your success in this competition. Should you be looking at the stopwatch and running faster, or should you be using the compass to find the direction? So I think the answer is quite apparent and quite clear. Without looking at the compass, we could be running fast in the wrong direction. The same way we do we want to achieve this effectiveness question, which direction you want to go? looking at the compass, while the how do we do it is the efficiency or speed questions. So like the stopwatch. So now I'm going to change your thinking to something else. How many of you believe still the storks bring babies? Like for the little ones, still thinks the storks are bringing the babies. Similarly, we believe in Santa Claus is bringing the gifts for the season. Like now Santa Claus is coming, now the season is also coming in the corner. So how many of you still believe the storks are bringing the babies? I believe no one. Similarly, we unlearn certain things in our life as we mature. So like we played with the sand castles when we are young, cried when the sand castles were broken at the beach, but not anymore, because as we know, it is only normal to happen. Prepare to unleash something about productivity as well, which many does not talk about this side of the productivity. Some of you would have, I think some of you who have met me and spoken with me might have heard about this side of things that I talk about. The basis of modern science, there are no beliefs. In modern science, there are no beliefs, but only acceptable explanations, which the theories and the rules that the science would identify time to time, sometimes contradicted by the science in the time to come as well. So at the moment of time, actually, what science develops are not beliefs, but reasonable or acceptable explanations of how things work. For example, I think you as engineers, I think we all know how many scientific rules has contradicted itself. For example, the electromagnetic forces violate the third law of Newton, but the gravitational forces do not violate the third law of Newton, but they violate the third law of general relativity. So these rules also developed by same person also sometimes contradict each other. So this is the nature of science, because science gives us certain acceptable explanations only. It should not be a belief as a religion. Some religions are also giving us beliefs only, not the open-minded thinking. I'm not going to, argue which religion is better to other or whatever, but most of the religions today have become beliefs rather than questioning yourself to understand who you are to represent yourself in the society. So where in real life we unlearn and learn on continuous basis as well. Like for say instance, if we want to change the shape of ice from cube shape to something else, we need to melt it to water. So it's really in a different state when it is water, not in a solid state. So similarly, I'll tell you another story. There was a group of Aborigines, we'll say Veddas, as commonly in Sri Lanka, we call them Veddas in Sri Lanka. So these Vedda people or Aborigines were living in the jungle, out in the jungle, very happily, very content life. So they didn't have big houses or didn't have a high success life as we defined it, but to their measurement, they were living a very happy and content life. But one of these people wanted to go out of the jungle and go to the village, live in the village. So he went and he did some of the work to the villagers and earned some money to buy his food and all that. Did some kuli vadder to find his daily wage and lived in the village. When he's living in the village, he found his interest towards TV. So he got addicted to watch TV. And thereafter he himself wanted to buy a TV, so when he wanted to buy a TV for himself, he had to work extra harder, like the carrot and stick principle. You put a stick on top of your head and then hang a carrot. You look at the carrot and would run faster. I mean, that's what you do to a donkey. So the donkey will see the carrot in front of his face and run to catch the carrot hanged on top of your head. So this person also, worked very hard and finally made money to buy a TV and started watching the TV in the village. And then he wanted to share this TV with his friends back in the forest with other of his Vedda friends. So he took the TV to the jungle and showed it to these Veddas, his friends. Then they also started flocking around TV and to watch the TV. It becomes very enjoyable activity kind of things for them. After some time, some of these Veddas, some of these aborigines wanted to buy a TV for themselves. So they also started going outside the jungle to the village to do some work to make money to buy TV. So what happened? All this contented and happy life changed because of that situation happened. Because of that carrot, which came to the jungle by the name of TV, came into the picture. So it becomes a happiness for a short time now, because during the daytime, this person have to work hard to make money. There's no contentment is lost. Physiological and psychological happiness, the conditions deteriorate. For that small moment of happiness to go and watch TV, at the time of watching TV only, that person will have the happiness. Other entire of time, not so much. Similarly, what is the purpose of our own life? Is it your own purpose? Are we running on our own purpose? So, and highly infused purpose. If so, your happiness of achieving that purpose could be very short term, like watching TV for that person, which gives happiness on in the evening, after day of heavy load of work during the day. Only that short period of time will give a happiness to that person. Similarly, if your purpose is an infused purpose by the environment, by the surrounding, by the society, by the friends or family, relatives, then that happiness that you achieve from that purpose also could be in short term. Now I have a small question for you. What is the meaning of happiness for a cat? Or meaning of productivity for a cat? What does a cat want to achieve? What is his, what does it mean by productivity for a cat? I don't know how many of you agree with this. How much they love their nap. They consider their nap is the most productive thing that they do. If they can be napping the entire day or sleeping the entire day, that would be 100% of productivity. Even not getting up to have the milk or eat something. So the meaning of productivity for a cat. So think for a moment what productivity means to you as a whole. Is there anyone who doesn't agree with this? Maybe there are some of you who doesn't agree with me right now, but that's okay. In our lives, we did our O-levels, we were successful A-levels, starting from back, I mean, the grade 5 scholarships, some of us would have had the island ranks. Then we go to campus, our parents and the people say, somehow get through the A-levels. After you go to campus, it will be taken care of. You will easily get through the campus and then you are set for success. But when we go to campus, we see how much hard work we have to put there. And then people start to say it's only hard time during this period. After you start working, you make some money, and then you are going to be filled for your life. And is it the case? I mean, looking for promotions, increments, or more, or maybe looking for more studies. Still, I mean, say in the case of ladies, I'm pretty much sure. I mean, I also have a sister. I have lady friends, and I have my wife, and so I know how they also get troubled with certain things happening in the environment. Could it be, how many people would have come to you and asked, aren't you getting married? There's no stop to that question. Sometimes some of you would have got married because so many people are asking that question, just to get rid of this question. And after getting married, it never stops. What about kids? So the next question is kids. And after having one kid, what about the second? This never ends. Could it be your parents, friends, or your siblings, or the society at large? This never ends. I mean, it's a pressure. It's a pressure altogether. Sometimes to get rid of the pressure, you just go by the flow. We also thought it would be, I mean, achieving all this, I mean, say doing O levels, A levels, and then university, and then the job. We also thought, because I mean, I mean, I don't call it wrong for our parents who guided us to go to university and come to and directed us to achieve to this state. I don't blame them, because what they believed is, they believed it is heaven. After, if you do this, it is heaven, is what they believed. But we also thought it would be like heaven, because we trusted them as well. Of course, still we trust them, because many people also said, apart from the parents, many people are teachers or surrounding people, and also we saw the people are using nice vehicles in nice houses. With we saw all of that. So after some time, when we get there, and after we maybe getting married and have our kids and all that, the story is done. We now realize we only know how does it feel like to be here now. This is a pressure group. This society, we can also call them a pressure group as well at times. They had a lot of influence for the path we've taken. So not to blame them, we should not. It's only human to believe the grass is greener on the other side. So as we do, but it is only us who has crossed the waters to the other side, come here, and knows the condition of the grass in this side now. And no matter to what extent we explain to people on the other side, they might not believe us as well. So this is what we would want you to achieve, or what you want to achieve in your for yourself. Now see, when we search in Google, right? We do a simple search in Google. What we think is, what we see, what we want. Isn't it? When we search in Google, we think we get the results we want. That is not the case. You use some other search engine and see, maybe the Microsoft search engine, and see how does it look like. The search results are also different. It's not really what we want to see. It's what Google wants us to see. So, but knowing this flip side, how this world operates, helps us to understand ourselves. But still, of course, when we search something on Google, it is not what the real thing that we are looking at. It is what the Google wants to show. Maybe some people would have paid Google to ramp up their ranking in the search results. Some people would have used SEO, search engine optimization, to elevate their position in the search results, using keywords and write-ups and lots of other things. So it is not really what we want to see, but it's what Google wants to show us. But still, we can make use of those findings to do whatever the things we want to do in our life. But knowing this flip side really helps us to understand ourselves, who we really are, but only if I answer that question genuinely to myself, at least to myself. Ask that question genuinely from yourself and answer nobody else but yourself genuinely. Now consider about you. What is productivity for you? Not society or the pressure groups, not the nature, Nature is also influencing you with the chemical system, with the hormones and all that. There's no end to story. That 90% is autonomous. Could you really argue that is otherwise? Not really. So most importantly, this is the what part of what we want to achieve, the purpose, what we want to achieve, not the how part. That how part comes after we answer the what part. We'll use the next slide to figure out it for ourselves. So use this QR code to use this link to identify and tell us what you really want to achieve. Let me again share this link with you in the chat. So some of you might be using the mobile device to log in. So in the chat, let me post the link. So use this link to give your input, what it means to you, what the productivity really means to you, doing what or being in what state of mind. Consider you as your goal to achieve. What do you want to achieve? What is it that you want to achieve? Now thinking about the cat and see what it means to you. Not the nature or the pressure groups directs you. Doing what actively or being in what state makes the purpose of your life. Don't worry, whatever you say, it comes to me anonymously. Let some of the answers come. Let me also have a look and share with you the general, what majority of you say it is. Let me share what the results are. Finishing the daily work, satisfaction, happiness has become the key thing. I hope you can see my screen. These are your answers. Done.
Excuse me, we can't see the screen.
Okay, let me try to share it again. Can you see it now?
Yes, now we can see.
Okay, all right. So these are the results, your own answers. The majority has spoken about the happiness, the satisfaction, completing tasks, results, being able to sleep well, success. More answers coming. Working with relaxing, money, success. What is success is the question. What is the success? Be happy and happiness, nature, completing task, output. It is my happiness. So most of you, it is the happiness, isn't it? So when we consider how this our mind works in getting, in identifying what we should be achieving, let me write. Okay, I think we are back in our slides. Can you see my slides back again now?
Yes, we can.
Right. So you saw the happiness is the uh, mostly what you wanted to achieve in your life. Of course, we do all of this for our happiness. So knowing this answer, I mean, earlier, I wanted to share with you the most happiest tribe in the world, the tribe called Piraha, from the Amazon River forests in Brazil. Some of you would have heard about these people. So, what do you or what did you want to achieve in your life? So we answered that question. This Piraha tribe is the happiest tribe in the world. Of course, was brought to a high discussion. These people are very highly spoken about. If you even search in Google or look in YouTube, you would see lots of things about these people. Taken to discussion by a person called Daniel Everett. Now he's a professor in language studies. He went to these people in Brazil as a missionary to convert them to a religion. But even finally, he ended up becoming one of them. He became a believer of their system. He became an atheist. Uh, we, as he says, it happened because you need a religion to fill a gap. So being a missionary, they know how to really convert somebody. So they know what are the requirements to impose or infuse a religion. So need a religion to fill some kind of gap. Mainly this gap is happiness, or maybe sorrowness, or lack of confidence, something in the society they'll have to identify. But these people were content and happy enough that they didn't want a religion. So I think I have a short video for you to show you as well. So these people were highly studied by this person. The videos and some of the research papers are also published. You can find on the internet. There is this TED talk also done by Daniel Everett about these people, and there's a documentary movie about 1 hour by the name of Grammar of Happiness. It's available in YouTube. Anyone can watch the entire full movie, The Grammar of Happiness. So let me see that video. I think I inserted it to the PowerPoint. Yeah, here it is. So have a look at what this video. This video is a very short one. I couldn't find a better one. I mean, there were other ones are too lengthy to include in the this thing. So let me try and share this. So this is a little glimpse of what the language of how Piraha look like. Actually, now today there were certain influences has happened to these people. They don't live this life today. If you watch that movie of Grammar of Happiness in YouTube, you would see what has really happened to these people today. For the language science, actually, they have disappeared. The studying of their language has also disappeared because this tribe also has gradually disappeared today. So when it comes to stakeholders, as women engineers, you have a wide range of stakeholders. Now, when we are looking at the way we can, cope up with the situations at large in the society, obviously it is not easy to please everyone. All of these stakeholders that we get every day. There is a saying: if you want to please everyone, sell ice cream. Then also there will be people asking for flavors that you don't sell as well. So, however, keeping the close stakeholders informed of what is going on always helps. There can be delays to customers, mishaps to partners or friends or relations. Always try to keep them informed. That way, they know mainly three things, as researchers say. You are that they are aware that you are aware what they need from you. That is one thing. And the second thing is that they know that you are still working on it. You are working on their requirement or whatever they want you to achieve. And number three is the progress. They are aware of the progress, and they have an idea about when are they going to get the results. So of course, this is a form of external story of external and internal motivation. I told you I'm going to little bit touch about the external and internal motivation, because trying to always stick with your internal motivation really is what we appreciate, actually keeping a balance. But nowadays, today, we keep our motivation mainly on external resources. That dependence takes us to a certain environment. So I have a small video clip to show you around that as well. There are a lot of videos today, isn't it? Let me share with you this one as well. So this highly talks about the two sides of things and why it is important to balance the two. Now in the Sri Lankan society, as we see, we are a worshipping and respecting society without a reason. We worship elders without a reason sometimes, worship the politicians and the religious leaders without a reason. So this worshipping has, we know what where we have been taken by this culture today. I'm not saying worshipping is bad, but by accepting things without questioning goes to where sometimes we do not have a free will to decide on something. Like in this video, it speaks about the story about that girl being directed. So that's the problem in the society is actually bigger than what we really think about. So from the childhood itself, our system, the society has to be inculcated, developed in a certain way. So when external force, when we let the things to be successful in the external force, or we give the happy button to somebody else. When that person press the happy button, we will be happy. When he presses the sad button, we will be sad. So don't ever try to give your remote control to somebody else so that somebody has the control over you. So also about the kids, build a strong next generation as the women engineers, as women in the society at large, has most influential networks around you. Building a more stronger generation, next generation is very important. So who has a strong internal motivation? Don't make them eat or watch cartoon, eat to watch cartoon, or don't feed them saying that ghost is coming. It becomes part of operant conditioning, as we discussed, and they could lose their internal motivation totally depending on these reasons. Always need to keep a balance in us for the next generation. So similarly, in going ahead, how to improve the present context, the confidence, of course, we have to improve to speak out of what we believe. While at work, sometimes, it could be our dress code, or it could be the way we behave. There can be various, the way others treat you, but you need to be confident and represent your point of view that you represent. You can be wrong, but if you are wrong, you can correct it later. But being confident in representing your point is very important. Being ladies, especially biologically having high intelligence in the emotion part, I mean high EQ, really helps in this part of it. And lack of the proper job match also sometimes plays a role in being happy in the longer context of life. And also the emotional intelligence, as I said, you can use it for your happiness. Look for assistance of coaching, maybe use a friend for that help. Maybe as a society, as women engineers, maybe you can start an initiative to have this as a service for the people who need assistance in great strict confidential environment. Weekly plan. So weekly plan is something I found very useful in coping up this kind of situation. So I will share with you this video as well. There were lots of videos in my session as usual. So those are some of the things that I could share with you about how to be successful in this arena of things. So
Nearly
apart from the weekly planning, so there are lots of other things we discussed. Uh, 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 so if the time permits, I can also share one of the researches done by the Australian Engineers Forum, where they discuss about the challenges that they have faced and how to overcome them. Maybe having an idea about that kind of areas also helps you to identify what kind of challenges the engineers are facing day in and day out. Let me quickly try to share with you that one as well. Uh, this I hope you can see my screen. So this research is done by the Engineers Australia, talking about the women in engineering, realizing the productivity and innovation through diversity was the highlight. So I will share with you some of the highlights this but apart from the summary, it has a graphical interpretation in the coming section. So I will. So the main find talk about is the salaries, average salaries, engineers' salaries in the context. They have started with 94,000 a year, so it's a cut down scale. So 113,000 of was the average salary for males, and for females it's 101,000. But when you can see level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the women and men are almost like similar. There's no difference. But when it comes to above level 5, that is the chief officer kind of level or director kind of level, there is no data because there's no women represented. That's why this average has become very low. Not that the salaries that they get are lesser in these areas, but in the top level it is. And when male, the females are represented in blue, light blue. We can see based on the years of experience, actually, women engineers are getting a higher salary. Now, this is in Australia. And also, we can see the based on the workforce distribution across responsibility levels by gender, the level 1, 2 seems to be having high representation of women engineers, but level 3 and 4 not so much. When it comes to 5, also it's quite lesser. So this is probably a trend. Maybe these people would go into these levels as well in the future, or maybe they might quiet their careers in some time of their life. And in here, they are talking about the male and female engineer response by age. So how many people have responded by age? Actually, this age category has responded the most, and the females have responded the most as well in these age range. Further, I will talk about, there was another interesting finding here. The percentage of response considering to leave the current employer by gender. Most of the male are considering leaving the current job, but the females are not considering to leave the present employer. So females are looking for that stability most of the time, it seems, but where the males are looking for career success by changing the organization that they work for. Maybe that is the reason the males are looking more job change, the organization changes, while females are not. Further, it talks about factors that would alter intention to leave by gender. It's astounding to find, actually, let me zoom it down a little bit so the entire chart can be seen. as we can see, the prominent part in the females are for the improved work culture and the more challenging workload. If there's improved work culture and more challenging workload, the females would not consider leaving that particular employer, answering the previous question. So the culture Australia, for that reason, we can see the organizational culture as well as the workload planning, because the work-life balance the women have to experience by women. As we can see, gender-based discrimination was the highest that they have seen. That female has faced even in Australia. So these are some of the findings I wanted to share with you. Apart from that, here there is this section which talks about the assistance with address hyperlinks. Also, it has given where the women engineers can look for assistance from the professionals using that. So these are some of the findings I wanted to share, because as I see, these are some of the things that you can do to help the engineering community at large. The coaching or counseling, assisting initiate women engineers as well. So we spoke about many areas during our presentation today, starting from the productivity, PPC balance, psychology part of it, the traditional and the conventional, the productivity part of it, how it is measured. Looking at psychology, there are a few topics that we discussed, and the major change, the difference that we are looking for, and what is productivity to you, looking at the Piraha tribe and all, and how to improve it also we discussed through a couple of slides. Because all of this is because it is not enough to do your best, but you must know what to do and then do your best. So I wish all the best for all of you. We all do all of these as for happiness. Psychology, as we refer, relationship with the well-being with your happiness. So I wish all of you all the best, and I encourage if you can give some feedback for this session using this QR code. Maybe I will also share the link to this survey. So give your feedback for the session, and you can ask questions if you may have right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you have any questions in the audience, you can raise your questions. Then there are no questions in the chat.
So I have posted the link to do that the feedback evaluation of the session, so I can use your feedback to maybe improve the future sessions.
Okay.
So a personal mission is like having a compass. It provides a direction and help you to find your way when the trail ahead isn't clear. So if you have any questions, I can take. I hope today's session was helpful to you all.
Any questions, please?
Oh, I will hand my control to Engineer Devika. If there are any questions, you can bring about to me, or I conclude my session from here. Over to you, Devika.
Okay, thank you. Nadika, I think you have to conclude the session.
Okay. Now we are at the end of today's program. It seems there's no questions or comments. So to pay our gratitude to the speaker, let me share the virtual memento. This memento is presented to Engineer Duleep Tarakadaya Bandara by the Women Engineers Forum of the Institute of Engineers Sri Lanka, as an expression of appreciation for the tremendous contribution as the resource person for the webinar on psychology on productivity on 23rd of November 2022. And also on behalf of the Women Engineers Forum of IESL, I take this opportunity to thank Engineer Taraka Dayabandara for sharing your valuable knowledge with us and spending your valuable time with us, educating us on very valuable issues and very valuable concepts. Thank you very much. Also, the participants, without you all, our effort would not be a successful one. Thank you very much for joining with us today. Chairperson and Executive Committee, big thanks goes to you all for organizing such a valuable talk today. And I think especially I must mention committee member Engineer Sajani. She arranged and she coordinated the event. Thank you very much. At last but not least, I thank IESL for providing logistic support to conduct today's session. And thank you very much. And that's the end of today's session, and good night to all.
Thank you for inviting me today. Thank you very much. If you need my assistance for any of these things, to arranging these surveys or doing counseling or coaching sessions for personal help for women engineers, I'm really happy to help to you for all those two areas or any other area if I can be resourceful. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Then we will keep in touch because the Women Engineers Forum is organizing so many events. Then I think we can have you again as a resource person, or and you can involve in other activities of Women Engineers Forum. Thank you very much. Thank you all, and good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.